And could we bring to the table Alan Tucker and Athletics Canterbury? Thanks, guys. We've got you down for 10 minutes, and I am going to have to keep to the timetable. Okay. Thank you very much, Alan. We're in your hands.
Good morning, and thank you for this opportunity to present the athletics viewpoint. We're representing Athletics Canterbury, and on my left, John McBrearty, on my right, Trevor Spittle, and I'm Alan Tucker. We represent about 2,700 athletes who are involved in club participation in the broad sport of athletics in the Canterbury region. And that's from masters level right down to children's grade. That figure that I just gave is a bit of an underrepresentation of the way athletics facilities are needed and used. It's regarded almost universally as the foundation sport. For the basic skills of running, jumping, throwing, athletics is where those are acquired. High schools, athletics is unique in the high schools situation in that almost every high school sets aside a day, non-teaching day, for athletic sports. And a lot of those sports were held at QE2 in the past. A lot of other sports other than the discipline of track and field make use of an athletic track for testing and conditioning of their participants. So we view, as Sports Canterbury did, an athletic track as being a community asset, not just for our sport. Interesting to note that towns with less than 10% of Christchurch's population have such a facility. They've recognised it's a community requirement, basically. In terms of the draft annual plan, we were disappointed to see that there was no specific mention of the athletics facility replacement in that, which is a backward step from last year's 3-year plan, which I know does cover this ongoing period, but we thought it would naturally pop up again, and it hasn't. There's no specific mention of Ngāpunawai in the 1-year plan. And there have been a number of deferrals on when the Ngāpunawai discussion and decision would come before council, and we found that somewhat frustrating and gives the impression to us at least that it's not seen as a significant priority. Very little has changed from our perspective since last year. I know there's been stuff going on in the background, but these facts still remain. There's still no final resolution on where the replacement athletics facility is going to be located, nor is there an indication of when that work might commence, let alone when we might be able to use it. And another concern is that if Ngāpunawai doesn't pan out, there's been no suggestion put forward as to what an alternative venue might be. I should say in connection with that 2 years ago, Council accepted our arguments that their then suggested eastern side of the city for the replacement. They accepted our arguments that that was not appropriate, that it had to be somewhere in the western sector, and we will be leaving, whenever we get to the new facility, a nice legacy at Rauwhiti Domain and the facilities we built up there, which is a nice athletic facility for club level on the east side of the city. So even though there is no apparent plan B, we are fully behind the Ngāpunawai concept as a sport. We'll be very grateful to be stakeholders in that. Just a quick run over for you of where we are at as a sport. Pre-earthquake, we had that magnificent facility. Later in 2011, it looked like that. And this is where we compete presently. It's something of a downhill slide, I think you'll agree. We are surviving, just surviving, and this is despite the fact that we have those very substandard competition and training facilities. To give our athletes an opportunity at least on some occasions, to compete on a decent surface. We had 7 meetings in Timaru last summer, and that's been fairly typical of the last 3 years. 4 of those were 2-day meetings and involved overnight accommodation, and we've done a rough cost estimation just on petrol and accommodation alone, and last summer that would be about $100,000 worth of petrol and accommodation to get to a decent facility. As I mentioned before, it's been a bit demoralising to see the delays in, compared with 2 years ago. The annual plan of 2012-13 did include athletic track replacement at a total cost of $6.5 million in the budget and a time frame of 3 years. The apparently successful results that our sport does continue to achieve, and we are very proud of our athletes, let me say, somewhat deceiving because there has been a slight increase in children's numbers, but there's been a noticeable drop-off in participation, perhaps not quite so much in numbers. There has been some drop-off in numbers, but certainly in participation. They're basically voting with their feet in terms of the facilities that we are providing for them at the moment and not competing on a regular basis. The success we have had nationally, and Tom Walsh is an obvious example, it is not insignificant that he is a field eventer. He doesn't need an all-weather track. And there's been a massive input of volunteer effort to establish the facilities we've got at Rauwhiti and to maintain those. And let me say as an aside, we're very grateful to the council's role in getting that facility up and running, the donation from the mayoral fund for the equipment shed that we've got there, very much appreciated. So, summing up, we have been working alongside staff from the Recreation and Sport Unit of the Council, as Julian, and their consultants, Becca. We've been beavering away on coming up with the detailed track design that would be optimised for Christchurch conditions, the wind, the sun, all those sorts of things. Now we're looking for some commitment from the council on where and when we will get the promised replacement athletic facility. Thank you very much. Any questions?
Earlier, the Sports New Zealand and the Sports Canterbury particularly mentioned this new facility public investment for $35 million, and also will go through the corporate collaborate investment. So as the athlete, you're the group, I mean, how much percentage you will contribute in this new facility if the council budget is very limited?
Well, unlike the other two sports, we did not own the QE2 asset, so we had no insurance recovery from that. The City Council got the insurance recovery from that. So we got no return in that way. We've got a big investment in equipment. It's a very expensive sport in terms of equipment, and we'll bring that to the table and some upgrading. There are some significant expenditures, completely new pole vault facilities, throwing cages. You know, we're talking well over $100,000 for those sorts of things for us to be able to compete there. And we have already invested a lot of our reserves into what we did at Rauwhiti. So we're...
Yeah, thank you. My understanding was council had funded, I think, Burnside Primary to have an upgraded athletics track. Have you been using that, or has that come to fruition?
That came as a total surprise to us. We were not consulted on it at all. We haven't used it. It's oriented totally the wrong way, and I'm not trying to put it down. Every athletic track around the city, be it on grass or whatever, is an asset to our sport. But we've put our investment into Rauwhiti, and that's where we've chosen to compete on a regular basis. Have you got something to add?
Has it got any functionality for athletics, or is it mainly just for the school and for what they do?
School and training is school use and training, not competition, really.
Thanks.
Thank you. It's obviously going to be some time before Ngā Pūnawai gets up and running once it's gone through the council system. Do you see any value in actually maybe promoting an all-weather track of just a basic facility at Rawiti Domain? And
it is not big enough to accommodate it's a six-lane track, and almost universally tracks are 8 lanes. So to invest in a 6-lane all-weather track would be inappropriate. It would also need to be controlled ground in terms of public access to it. So we haven't given it serious consideration. Our goal is to have that residual facility in the east as a legacy, great for club use and training and children's competition, and have another complementary facility somewhere else.
Yeah, okay. Thank you very much indeed. That's very helpful.
Thank you very much. Thank you. Thank you.